Okay, so I've broken this out into steps. You're building an ionic molecule, and I'm doing one video for each step. I put everything into the document, so you shouldn't have to look in multiple places. You do have to watch the videos as you work, okay? So to keep them short, one video for each step. Step one, you're going to find sodium on the periodic table, okay? It's in the first column. It's located here. I've marked off transition metals and nonmetals. We're just looking at metals and nonmetals, okay? So we're ignoring transition metals here. So in the next step, we need to find the ion formed by sodium. And ions, by definition, are elements with either a positive or negative charge. We covered that in third quarter. Okay. So find the ion formed for sodium. First, we've defined the group. The group is at the top of the column on the periodic table. So we have group 1A, 2A. Can't help you, buddy. I gotta do this. 1 second. And 3A. Okay, so we're just looking at these groups for these metals. Like I said, we're skipping transition metals. All right, so pause your video for a second, take a look, and go through that and make sure you can follow along. If you have questions, just stop the video and send me an email so we can go over it together. Okay, hopefully you reviewed those first few steps. So now we're going to find the ion formed by sodium. We're looking at the group, right? And we're looking at the type of ion. Right? The type of ion is called a cation, and cation is an ion with a positive charge. Right? So if sodium is in group 1A, what type of ion is it? Okay, right? Look at the text in bold, see if you can answer that question. Now look at question 2. What kind of charge does the ion have? Okay, so the kind of charge is covered right up here in the second bullet point. Okay, so you should be able to fill in the answers to both of those questions based on each of these bullets. So review that and take a look. All right, so then go ahead. I'm going to have you pause the video and you can work on that. If you're stumped at this point, then let's jump in on an office hour and we can talk about it. You don't have to spend a lot of time on it, and we'll make sure you can follow along, okay? Okay, so hopefully you've been able to answer the first two questions. So you know sodium is in group 1A, you know the type of ion that it forms, and you know the kind of charge that it forms. Now we want to figure out the value of the charge, okay? So the group, again, is what tells us that. So group 1A, the charge is 1. If it's 2A, the charge is 2. If it's 3A, the charge is 3. Okay? Remember, periodic tables are a road map. Tells us where we're going. Question 3, what's the value of the charge? Okay, so if you followed all this along, you're going to find out what the charge is. It's either going to be 1, 2, or 3, depending on the group. Okay? All right. Now is a good time to pause your video and make sure that you can answer the first 3 questions. Okay, so now we're going to go through a series of questions that do the same thing for chlorine. All right, chlorine's a little different. All right, so chlorine, find chlorine on the periodic table. It's over here, right? Group 7A. That's a nonmetal, right? These are our nonmetals here. So ionic molecule, metal, nonmetal. Now we're looking at our nonmetal. It's in group 7A. It is an anion, and that's an ion with a negative charge. Okay, so what type of ion is formed? What kind of charge does it have? Okay, so you should be able to answer those questions just like you did for sodium. And I'm going to go ahead and have you pause the video, make sure you got those questions. So hopefully you're through question 5. If not, no big deal. Just let's jump on an office hour. Let's walk through it again together, one-on-one. Okay, now we're going to find the value of the charge. The value of the charge depends on the group, and for anions, it's different than cations. And that has to do with the fact that anions, if you remember from quarter 3, are gaining electrons. So the way we do it is we figure out how many electrons they need based on their group number to get to 8, right? Remember, noble gases in group 8 have 8 valence electrons. Okay, so if we take the group number and subtract it by 8, that tells us how many electrons it needs. So it's just a little bit different, right? That's because, and the reason why it's different is because cations just lose the valence electrons, right? Group number tells us 1A tells us it has 1 valence electron, 2A tells us it has 2, 3A tells it has 3. Remember that from third quarter? So those cations just lose those electrons, but anions gain. Okay, that's the difference between the two. So if we go back to these questions, right? Now we need to find the value of the charge, and we do that by subtracting that from the group number. So if chlorine is in group 7, we'd do 7 minus 8, right? And that gives you the value of the charge, and that's how you answer question 6. So now we know for the anion what type of charge it is, positive or negative, right? The value of the charge, the type of the ion. So hopefully now you can finish through question 6. If not, you're going to go ahead and ask some follow-up questions during an office hour. So this is the end of the video for step 1. Okay, I'm going to do another video for step 2 that will be short as well. And then we'll do a third video for step 3. And then finally, steps 4 and then step 5. Okay, step 5 is going to be pretty straightforward. It's a fun project. Okay, all right.